Hello and welcome to our Sweet 16 preview. I'm Chris Lee of Southeastern 16, joined by Blake Lovell and Max Barr. Today we'll talk about the Friday night matchup between 6th-seeded Ole Miss and 2nd-seeded Michigan State. You can catch that 6:09 Central on CBS. You can watch it in person in Atlanta. Line on this one as we speak. Michigan State by about 3.5. Max Barr, I'm going to kick it to you to start. What catches your eye about this matchup?
This is probably, for me personally, the toughest game to pick of the Sweet 16. I think it's a phenomenal matchup, extremely experienced matchup. You got those senior guards in March that you always want, and then two incredible coaches in Tom Izzo, who literally had March nicknamed after him, and then Chris Beard, who I think all would agree is one of the best coaches in the nation, took Texas Tech to the championship game. So you have probably the most close matchup I could see. And when you look at the betting splits, we have an interesting development here. We actually have Mississippi State getting these numbers from VSiN. We have Michigan State as the highest public bet of the entire Sweet 16. They got 71% of bets, 86% of the money is on that Michigan State side. That is the highest percentage of handle of the entire Sweet 16. There is a lot of cash on the Spartans, guys.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I think this is sort of one where I feel like we should have Ole Miss maybe push for some like merchandise where you had the old guards just standing there like in the medieval gear and just sort of, waiting there. Because many times we've used that line for Ole Miss this year. And like, Sean Padula out there, a little medieval gear on, just waiting for the next opponent. Because this guy's just always waiting to see who's he going to lead them to victory over the next time, right? And so he's been so good. But, I think this Michigan State team, like you said, there's reason there's a lot of money coming in on this team because I think they have been really, really good. And you talk about the defensive element here, what they bring to the table from the defensive standpoint. Obviously, we've seen Ole Miss be a team that can shoot the three this season, shoot about 35%. It's pretty good. I mean, it's not, top 15, top 20, anything like that, but it's still a pretty decent percentage. Meanwhile, we know Michigan State's the best in the country in that area. So I think, they're going to certainly be a team that may challenge a little bit in terms of how they allow Ole Miss to get their points. Also, I think the rebounding thing here is what we're probably all going to look at when it comes to the potential edge that you're going to give Michigan State in that category, maybe specifically on the potential second chance opportunities. But I also think that just with the way Ole Miss defends, I don't think it's going to be easy on Michigan State, especially if Ole Miss can find ways to keep them off the glass.
When I start looking at games, I start looking at the Ken Palm pages where they highlight different areas. And if you're really good in something, it's a green. And the better you are, the darker green. And if you're not good at something, it's a red. And the worse you are, it's a darker red. I think this is the biggest Christmas tree looking game of the whole Sweet 16. Because, boy, you got some matchups of some things that one team does well and the other team doesn't or whatever. Like, let's start with when Ole Miss got the ball. Sean Padula and Ole Miss just do not turn it over. Michigan State not great forcing turnovers. So I expect Ole Miss isn't going to turn the ball over a lot in this one. Offensive rebounding and, frankly, defensive rebounding. Michigan State is elite at grabbing rebounds both ends. Blake alluded to it already. But Ole Miss not good at either one. Yeah, I mean, there's some other things here. Ole Miss gets a lot of shots blocked. State blocks a lot of shots, those kind of things. I just think that the dynamics of this are interesting. We all know Michigan State's bread is butter than other places than shooting. And I feel like some of the games where Ole Miss has been really good this year, guys, they've shot the ball pretty well. Sean Padula, Malik Dia have had some big scoring games. So those are some of the things that make this fascinating to me.
Yeah, and when you look at the conference-only stats from these teams, a little bit skewed just based on how high frequency the free throw rate was in the SEC compared to other conferences. because when you look at their free throw rates in conference play, Ole Miss in the SEC, Michigan State in the Big Ten, Michigan State finished third in the Big Ten in free throw rate. Ole Miss finished ninth in the SEC in free throw rate. You'd think, wow, Michigan State must get to the line a lot more than Ole Miss. The difference in their actual percentages is 0.3% for the free throw rate. It's just the SEC had so many teams that got there more that when you look at their stats and their ranking in conference, you see ninth for Ole Miss, you see third for Michigan State, and you think, wow, Michigan State's got the free throw advantage. They're going to be more aggressive and get to the line more. Not the case at all. Just the rankings are a little bit skewed based on how the conferences each played. So you may think Michigan State's got the advantage getting free points at the stripe. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Well, I think, for all the things we say about the old guards, right? We brought that up time and time again. I think this is still one where, how do Malik Dia and Jamin Brakefield play in this game? I think that's just going to be such a huge element here because we've seen, right, what that can mean. I mean, Dia just came off a game where he had, 18-8, I think, against Iowa State. Brakefield, we've talked about him. He's felt like one of those, he feels like he's been in the SEC for 10 years now, but he's played in a lot of these kind of games, and of course he comes off a big game too where he had 19 points, couple steals, couple rebounds, stepped out, made some shots from three. So I think for all the things we talk about in terms of, yes, if we're looking up and let's say Ole Miss makes a surprising run to the Final Four or something, absolutely, probably Sean Padula is going to be the guy that gets all the attention, like Matt Morrell, probably going to have some big games along the way. He had 1-2 against Iowa State. But I think, when we look at it from this standpoint, to me, when Ole Miss has been really good this season and had a chance to, win these kind of games, it's because they have that combination of Dia and Brakefield. And I think when we back to the rebounding element here, that is definitely something where these two guys, I think, need to play maybe two of their best games of the season, right? Just in terms of maybe what you're going to get from Michigan State. They are going to be really hard to crack in terms of their defense. They're a team too. Again, they're going to play sort of that old school type approach. They're not going to, score in threes. They're probably going to score in twos and ones and all those things. And so I feel like this is one where I look at it and just think, okay, this is the kind of game where I think Dia and Brakefield can play very well. And it's just a matter of, can you get that from them? Because, look, the experience, we keep saying, Ole Miss is the most experienced team left in this tournament, right? They're third in KenPom in experience in terms of D1. So you're playing a Michigan State team that's not as experienced overall. And so I do still think there's some value there. But to me, maybe that experience starts with two of the older guys in the front court because I think they can have a pretty nice game here. And I think Ole Miss needs that to be able to win.
Any other storylines you're circling in this one, guys?
For me, the one reason why this game is so hard to break down, in the variance of it, is because both teams don't really rely on a large volume of points from three, which is a very stark contrast to a lot of the other Sweet 16 matchups, right? And so it really comes down to, for me, what I'm battling with this pick is the turnover battle versus the rebounding battle. And which one do you value more? Because I think Ole Miss is primed to take care of the ball, really run some clean offense, first in the SEC in turnover rate, where Michigan State really does not force too many turnovers. And then on the rebounding battle, I think Michigan State is primed to crush the rebounding and really have I'm expecting a double-digit advantage on the boards for Michigan State. So it's which one do you value more? Do you think Ole Miss is going to be able to match the physicality? Dre Davis, some of the undersized guys for Ole Miss are able to battle with the Michigan State physicality? Or is Michigan State behind the star freshmen, behind Akins and Holloman and kind of the older guys that are also in that backcourt? Do they take care of the ball? Because I think whatever one of those battles gets won by the team you don't think is going to win it, there's your winner of this game.
We ready for picks?
No, but we have to.
That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, this is as tough of a, I opened with it, I'm going to close with it. It's as tough as a pick as it gets for me here in the Sweet 16. I've had some confident picks, some spots I really like. I think this matchup is just such a rock solid matchup. I don't think there's a major coaching advantage either way. And that money, that 86% of the handle being on Michigan State gives me some hope for Ole Miss. Hey, this may be a spot where the public kind of gets got and Vegas gets their due with Ole Miss drawing the upset. And no team that's ever been unranked that has earned a 1 or 2 seed has ever made the Final Four. So if you want to take a stab at an underdog before the winner plays Auburn, it might not be a bad spot based on trends to pick Ole Miss. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Give me the Rebels.
That's not what I thought you were going to do. There's some things on paper that concern me. The rebounding also. Ole Miss puts teams on the free throw line a lot, and Michigan State gets there at a really good rate and hits them. Those are concerning. But, Blake, you pointed something out about the experience difference, and I'm glad you did. I knew Ole Miss was experienced. I did not realize the difference in experience. It's almost 2 full years, which is kind of hard to believe, especially for a Michigan State team. But it did lose 4 starters. But you know what? I think my biggest thing, a game like this, it's can somebody make a play? And this guy might be my favorite player in the SEC. If not, he's really close. Sean Padula, that guy made plays. Hit a shot for them in this tournament already. Can make a pass. I'm going to ride with that. Am I nervous about it? Absolutely. But I picked Ole Miss to the Elite Eight before the tournament. I'm going to stick with it. Give me the Rebels.
Interesting.
Very interesting. So as I look back at trying to find somebody in the Big Ten that plays like Ole Miss, would you guys have any initial guesses on who you would think fits that criteria? Think about a defensive team that forces turnovers.
Maybe UCLA.
Max Barr, you're a genius.
Oh,
UCLA is the team I was kind of thinking about, right? And so I went and looked at the game that they played against Michigan State on February the 4th. UCLA won that game 63-61, which is kind of what I would expect for this game to be, a 60s type game, something like that. Michigan State destroyed them on the glass. 31 defensive rebounds, 14 offensive rebounds. But the difference was that UCLA turned the ball over 3 times. Michigan State turned the ball over 16 times.
Oh.
And I think when you look at it from that standpoint, it's not the same team, right? It's not. No. But it is very interesting if you try to find the comparisons between the two. And so I came into this video thinking that I may be the Lone Ranger on picking Michigan State. And, I picked against Ole Miss, at least in the picks, whereas in the bracket, I'm like, hey, Max Barr and I still all in on the Ole Miss Elite Eight run until we saw North Carolina do what they did. And they were like, oh, no, come on, we're going to completely overreact. Completely overreact. So do I jump back on the train or do I just keep going with what's worked? And so I am going to pick Michigan State.
Okay.
He had to, Max Barr. He just had to.
Regular viewers of the channel know that had I picked Ole Miss, we know what that would have set up. So even though I pointed out that I think that UCLA comp is very fascinating, I'm going to pick Michigan State. Okay? So there you go. You don't need any further analysis than that.
This man is running for office, Max Barr.
Hey, it's the Sweet 16. You bring out all the tricks that you got for the Sweet 16. Okay? So there you have it.
Yep. Well done, my man. All right. Well, thank you for watching. If you watch our channel regularly, you get what just happened there. If you don't, you need to subscribe and check out what we do here. And you also need to check out Bracket Bids.
Yeah. And if you don't and Michigan State wins, then, hey, boy, I knew it all along. No, that's not true at all. Bracket Bids. You hope you guys enjoying the free pick'em contest, the auction draft league. You guys are having some fun with that. We appreciate Bracket Bids for all their support over the past couple months here. So be sure to download the Bracket Bids app today or visit them at bracketbids.com.
All right. Thanks for watching. For Max Barr, Blake Lovell, I'm Chris Lee. We're Southeastern 16. Thanks for watching. God bless you. We'll see you again soon.